All of the civilized world knows about Christmas. The beautiful gospel story will be retold 1,000 times in these next few weeks. The Song of Mary has thrilled men through the centuries, the humble stable has been copied and imitated in a million settings. The music of the angels has inspired carols by the score, and the love of God so richly manifest has given birth to Santa Claus, St. Nicholas and Kris Kringle. Oh yes, the world knows about Christmas. The Old Testament is 6,000 years preparing for it, and the modern world has been 2,000 years rejoicing in it. Gigantic parades herald the Christmas season. Each year we hang our Christmas bells a little earlier. We flood the mail with our wishes of goodwill. Santa rides again. And we exchange more gifts of love and friendship. But the charm of Christmas is not in these, nor is it in the pathos and the poetry of the nativity of our Lord. Its charm is not in sentimentality, nor is it in the appeals of the little, the helpless and the needy of the world. The charm of Christmas is the same as that which lured the patriarchs of the Old Testament to dream of Bethlehem. In the manger of Bethlehem we see the dream of God made flesh, the will of God made real. The vision of God. Inspired and inspiring. But the impact of that inspiration is not easy to cultivate. The external pressures upon our lives make it so easy for us to prostitute the real vision of Christmas into something that is unworthy of us, unworthy of God and His purposes for us, unworthy of the Christ whose birthday it celebrates. So harried are we by the rank commercialism, the pagan traditions and the soulless celebrations that accompany the season that we are not only likely to miss the inspiration, but to even deny the spiritual implications it proclaims. A pagan legend can supersede the real babe of Christmas in our loyalties and our oblations. Indeed, the time has come when Christians must choose how we shall celebrate the Christmas Eve. In pagan tradition or in honor of the Christ whose birthday it is. So harried are we by trends and pressures that some of us have even come to resent the idea that Christ or His church should have anything to say about how we shall celebrate Christ's birthday. And because we prostitute that real vision, or even just miss it, we lose the inspiration that can give poise and purpose to our lives throughout the year. It just isn't easy to respond to the real vision of Christmas. Stand, if you will, in the rude shelter of that nativity stable. Warm yourself with the animal heat. And breath deeply of the rank animal smells. Let your allergies receive the full impact of the hay and the dust. Oh yes, you are sure to ask, why should the greatest man of all history be thus born in the stable? Why should God so deliver His greatest gift to man by way of a manger? Why in the glittering glory of Christmas should we be reminded of the humility of the Son of God? Why should this babe be forever linked with such unfortunate a circumstance? But if you will wait and listen, you will hear the voice of that babe in the maturity of manhood announce. Blessed are the humble, for they shall inherit the world. But humility is a hard word for our times. It is a virtue too often misunderstood, a virtue too often underestimated. Our generation has come to link humility with weakness and to confuse meekness with cowardice. No wonder we underestimate their virtues. No wonder that we want to disassociate the natal humility of our Lord from the festive expensiveness of the modern Christmas. The prideful I of our conversations, the stubborn insistence of our individual egos, the arrogant demands of our respectable positions can hardly give credence to the virtue of the practice of humility. But what is this Christian humility? It is the childlike seeking to know the will of God. And what is meekness? The same childlike obedience to that will. Humility, meekness. They are of higher value of cowardice and weakness. They represent the guiding virtues in all our relations with God and man. How much we are determined to know God's purposes and how well can we obey. These determine the object and fulfillment of our lives. But the truly humble and the genuinely meek are often most misunderstood. The world found Jesus a most difficult person to understand. His goals, His dreams, His faith were not those of other men. What they found important, to Him were not important at all. Not in self-abasement did Jesus cultivate humility, but in the glory of His Father. When other men sought preferment for themselves, this humble Jesus sought preferment for his Father. For him the humility of the cross was not in self-debasement, but the manifest glory of God. Indeed, no one can stand at the foot of the cross and believe that when Jesus said, "Blessed are the humble," that he was counseling weakness or cowardice. Instead, humility becomes a mighty fortress of strength. Go back to the crude Judean stable, look again at the infant Jesus. And remember. Willed into being by a divine will, searching to know that will and obedient to that will. In these were the daysprings of his strength. For when a man knows he's right, he can afford to take chances. No longer is life a hopeless puzzle or a matter of dubious end. It isn't easy to deny ourselves the luxury of self-importance when the world conspires to inflate our ego. The more we have, the more we succeed, the greater our achievements, the more difficult it acknowledge a will and a dream that is superior to our own. Humility is not cultivated in prosperity and pleasure. So this will be a most difficult Christmas for many of us. We have lived, and are living, in an affluence that is neither real nor wholesome. Though we admit it, still, we are not inclined to repudiate our flesh pots. The fact is that the superabundance we enjoy has brought us neither peace, goodwill or liberty. Instead, it has become a burden, taking its toll upon the spiritual well-being whose health alone makes peace and goodwill possible. It has hurried us along so rapidly that we have had neither the opportunity nor the desire to really flavor the abundance we have. We have, but we are not able to enjoy. We have been overwhelmed by an abundance and richness which has killed our appreciation of even the material things. And, as for things of the spirit, we have long since forgotten that they mean anything at all. If only the nations of the earth could pause before that crude manger and see their life in its true perspective. Seeing themselves in the light of the humility it teaches. There could be peace and goodwill for you, for me, and for the countless little people across the world, and that's the best Christmas gift we could have. For then we would learn again the simplest of lessons. That God has willed us, all of us, into being. That it is important that we know why. And then it's just as important that we obey that reason. It is the vision of Christmas.